John Capobianco will be joining me to talk about the Online Censorship Act, as I call it, and the budget from the government to censor everything going on. But before then, the guys behind the camera are not as crazy as I am. They need to get paid to do this job, and we don't get paid by the Prime Minister's office. We don't ask for it, we don't accept it. And so we are independent analysis of the news. And if you like that, if you like the arguments being put out there, please donate generously so they don't walk away. As I said, John Capobianco is a Bigshot Conservative, Vice President of FleishmanHillard HighRoad, which is a big PR company. Got that out right. He joins me now. One of the Conservative members of Parliament dug out in the last little while that the government had booked $200 million just to hire a couple hundred more civil servants to do the censorship that they want of online in the future. And as a Bigshot Conservative, I want to ask you, if your government comes into power, are they going to agree to all this censorship by government bureaucrats of what people want to hear and see?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. When we become government, we'll do one thing, and that is cut bureaucracy and all the waste that's been growing over the course of the last 10 years. It's been a huge bureaucratic growth over the course of the last 10 years. But it's a narrative that this government's always focused on. Anything that they do or want to do or any initiative, it's surrounded by a number of bureaucrats or consultants. So the money that they spend is less on the actual program, but more on the support of the program that, quite frankly, is not needed. And this is another case in point, Stephen, where there's a situation where you're spending $200 million to support something that, quite frankly, this government has no idea what they're doing with respect to it. We understand the principle of it, but the actual engagement of it and the actual execution of it has been flawed from the beginning.
But John, so then there's two aspects to this. One is a tremendous cost, but then the other thing is a problem with the act itself, which is censorship, which is, the liberties of Canadians to discover, to discuss, to see what's going on is going to be severely constrained. And without that liberty to see what's going on, we're going to be diminished, in my view.
And you're not wrong, Stephen. And quite frankly, what we've seen over the course of the last little while is a lot of discussion about freedom of expression, freedom of speech. We've seen it with the pro-Palestinian protests where they claim that they're freedom of speech, but yet they're getting involved in violence. We're seeing it with online social media venues or avenues where a lot of the stuff that we're seeing is actually quite frankly harmful. So I agree, as a father of a 22-year-old who's on social media, I don't want her to be predated on. I want her to be able to join and sort of be free with the social media and not have to worry about somebody trying to be a predator to her. So there is some value in making sure that there's restrictions and controls on that stuff.
As far as being a predator, yes, but as far as a discussion of the issues, what so happens so often is that people who are saying, we want to protect your freedom as long as your freedom is in agreement with me.
Right. And that's where you cross the line. And that's where I think a lot of people are seeing what they're doing now as crossing that line.
I think you're absolutely right. We see that not only on online social media, but we're seeing that in the streets with demonstrators, is that they march down, and if you're demonstrating against the demonstrators, they'll knock you over.
Right. Well, and that's what we're seeing now. And I think that's where the license of what freedom of expression or freedom of speech gets overblown.
I think you're absolutely right. John Capobianco. 3 minutes. This show provides independent analysis of the issues. We are not paid by the government. And as I am finding, so much business in Canada relies upon various governments that they don't want to sponsor or advertise on a show which may become controversial, which talks about liberty, freedoms, sometimes criticizes government. I've had guests on that support the government. But people are saying, you know what? We don't want to bite the hand that feeds us, i.e. government, which is why I hope you'll subscribe and contribute to keep this show on the air.